Hello, my name is Kofi Koranteng. I have come to you today to share my thoughts on something that is very dear to my heart, the state of affairs of Ghana. Let me caution you, my message is not for the faint-hearted. My message is for the serious, caring, thoughtful, considerate, sympathetic, hard-working, and honest Ghanaians who have paid a dear price for that which they have accomplished in life. Though this message may not be taken well by sympathizers of NDC and MPP parties, I beseech you to appreciate the truth of its contents for the sake of our argument today. Now, if you find yourself huffing and puffing, swearing and cussing, throwing daggers and hurling insults at me at any point, then you must ask yourself these three simple questions. 1. Is there any truth in what I am saying? 2. Is your loyalty to Ghana genuine and without question? 3. How much are you willing to sacrifice for Ghana's sake? I appreciate your honesty. Ghana needs good men and women like you. Now, to that backdrop, let's get to it. Let me ask you, what do you call a person who steals from you? What do you call a person who poisons you? What do you call a person who lies to you continually? What do you call a person who bankrupts your children's future? What do you call a person who has neglected their fiduciary responsibility to you? What do you call a person who has repealed your social right without your knowledge? What do you call a person who has signed unauthorized contracts on your behalf? What do you call a person who has assigned contracts that determines your quality of life to unqualified cronies so that you continually get hurt and nobody cares? What do you call a person who burns down your tax-purchased pharmaceutical supplies so to create an artificial shortage, just to redirect you to their personal drugstores and amass profits? What do you call a person who mortgages the futures of your unborn children? What do you call a person who borrows hundreds of millions of dollars on your behalf and squanders the money lavishly abroad before the loans even seize the land for which it was borrowed? What do you call a person who by ignorance and incompetence has rendered your communities havens for armed robbers, communities that are unconscionably filthy and unhealthy and yet somehow acceptably lawless? Those types of communities. What do you call that kind of person? What do you call a person who murders your sons and daughters in the under-resourced hospitals and clinics with outdated medical facilities, underqualified personnel, while they conveniently splurge in the luxury of first-class travel, state-of-the-art medical facilities and world-renowned doctors in Dubai, London, and the United States. What do you call a person who hails free SHS for all, which, by the way, is inefficient, ineffective, and riddled with unfixable problems, yet their children are sent to schools abroad? What do you call a person who charges you over 200% over cost just to build a substandard interchange and then calls it Dubai, Circle, which has now become a haven for homelessness and an asylum for the mentally disabled? What do you call a person who sells Ghanaian passports to illegal immigrants who use it for criminal activity around the world, and as a result have our hard-working sons and daughters repatriated from abroad? What do you call a person who grants entry to so-called foreign investors who mutilate our lands without consideration and rake our water bodies, and as a consequence dump a sludge of toxins into our drinking water, which is yet to unleash onto the next generation a myriad of neurological, psychological, emotional, and physical impairments, which amazingly the same person who is responsible for all this mess has not even begun to think about a healthcare system to meet that challenge anyway. Oh my God, if we only knew what was upon us. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Lastly, what do you call a person who kills your mother and father, your brothers and your sisters in road accidents because your tax money, which is supposed to build safe motorways, install road safety signs, was diverted to buy SUVs and houses abroad? Look at what happened at Kintampo just a couple of weeks ago. Over 55 people dead, and that wasn't the first. So, my brothers and sisters, what do you call a person who does all of this to you and more? I would call them a criminal, and I'm sure you would too, right? Now, what do you call an organization who protects these kinds of people? Think for a minute. Criminal organizations, right? Now, if you could only get your hands on such a person, God only knows what you would do to them, isn't it? I know people have been set ablaze with the automobile tire around their neck for doing much, much less, haven't they? Yet, somehow, if this person who have done so much hurt to us, they have killed our parents, stolen from our unborn children, sell our lands, give away our resources, and to add insult to injury, they spin the most repugnant lies as though we are idiots and we just don't understand. The same person who does all of this suddenly wears a t-shirt, a shirt with NDC or MPP on it. We forget the pain and we forgive all the sin. Oh my gosh. How could we do that? How? You kidding me? We have got to be out of our minds on that one. Just think about this for a minute. Ponder over it. The same person who we would stop by any means necessary for causing us so much pain, all of a sudden you will hug you will dance with, you will kiss, you will campaign for, you will donate to, you will fight for, in some cases you will kill for. Isn't that madness? Sacrificing your life for people who don't give a squat about you. The NDC and MPP are criminal organizations. Get it? And their flag bearers are even more culpable for their crimes. Just recently, we heard a recording of Ofosu Ampofo in what was supposed to be a secret NDC meeting charge his group to kidnap, threatening to make sure people's lives are in danger. Wait a minute, kidnap. An intent to kidnap in itself, according to Article 21 of the Constitution, is a crime. The speech was littered with numerous counts of offenses. Ask the legal expert Samson Lardy Anyanini. Alote Jacobs, a rank and file of the NDC, has confirmed, as have a few in the NDC, that the voice is Ofosu Ampofo's, and he ought to own it and apologize to the Ghanaian people. But yet, it's being denied as a classic, a doctor tape. And yet we sit and we accept this atrocious lie. Unbelievable. What blows my mind more than anything is that the MPP is reluctant to push for his arrest and prosecution. I wonder why. Because they brought in the Kandahar boys from Tamale during the Ayawaso by-election to harass the NDC militia. And that in itself is also a crime. Then we have the Manasseh expose. Oh, I guess that was a doctor tape too, right? Please, Ghana, wake up. These political parties are operating like gangsters in a no man's land. And the sad thing is, we sit and we watch and we vote them in and out and the other, and it doesn't stop. And some of you watching this right now, defend them. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. How could we have allowed a group of organized criminals to lure Ghanaians in this game of strategic deception, of bait and switch? You see, we have been taken for fools and for fools, and this foolish game must end. This 2020, the agenda is fire NDC and MPP. Enough is enough. Enough with the nonsense. Let's usher in an independent candidate with a transformational leadership agenda. You see, the liability of these political parties is killing Ghana, and you know it. So this 2020, let's make it a Ghana where our leaders are civil and understand their duty to stewardship to its citizens. Let's make it a Ghana where our leaders actually take responsibility for their actions and lead with integrity. Let's make it a Ghana where our agencies deliver value for that which they have been established for. Let's make it a Ghana where government is lean and mean, effective and efficient, with no more than 20 ministerial appointments and appointments based on merit. Let's make it a Ghana where agriculture is the foundation of our economy as we vigorously pursue self-sufficiency in food production. We import over $1 billion of rice a year. Alone, rice alone, perfumed rice, to make it worse. Let's make it a Ghana where infectious and communicable diseases are archived through the promotion of a robust health delivery needs-based system. This 2020, let's make it a Ghana where, there is a standard education curriculum with emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, with vocational training, creative arts, and the application of theory. A functional learning paradigm. Let's make it a Ghana where our children compete and differentiate themselves in the post-digital era with distributed ledger technology, artificial intelligence, extended reality, and quantum computing. Let's make it a Ghana where our women are empowered at every level of society and their perpetrators punished to the full extent. Let's make it a Ghana where the security agencies enforce laws and abide by them, without exception to social status or political bearing. Let's make it a Ghana where the intelligence units of the police and the army are escalated and independent and a no-go for politics. Let's make it a Ghana where our borders are impenetrable by illegal immigrants and contrabands. Let's make it a Ghana where Ghanaians living abroad can vote in a general election and don't have to pay an arm and a leg for import duty. The current changes will not make much of a difference. Let's make it a Ghana where our brothers are not set up against each other as vigilante groups on empty promises, when the real culprits, they sit in their fully nyanya offices and they smirk with contempt. This 2020, let's make it a Ghana where every region has its own unique master plan developed by the region's planning board with contractors and engineers who are certified by international standards. Let's make it a Ghana where our students are unraveling the mysteries of epigenetics and cellular reprogramming. Things like aerospace technology, not just to build the next generation of automobiles, but actually designing and redesigning aircrafts into the next millennium. Let's make it a Ghana where we have a blended energy policy. A blended energy policy actually becomes the norm, and we go green and we promote neat energy sources. We go into solar energy, gas, biomass, geothermal, tidal, wind, so that we could depreciate emphasis on fossil fuels to save this beautiful planet of ours. Let's make it a Ghana where our graduates and the by-day workers of our workforce, they have access to low-interest borrowing so that they can start businesses on their own and acquire assets and build a better quality of life. Let's make it a Ghana where our investors are protected from the predatory financial institutions and Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission. For once, they actually take responsibility. Let's make it a Ghana where there is a constant access to clean water and uninterrupted power supply. Electricity is back again to power our homes and businesses. Doomsaw is on the horizon again. Let's make it a Ghana where a Commander Sugar Factory, the Palugu Tomato Factory, the Aveime Rice Factory, and every factory in the land, all the factories in Ghana are producing at full throttle, so that we can annihilate imports, we could generate exports, we could so that our youth can be employed and cost of living will be reduced. This will affect the quality of life of everyone. We will improve the city. The city will actually be resuscitated, and foreign exchange reserves will be preserved. That in turn affects decent living across the board, not just for the rich, but for everybody. In closing, let me say this, a word to our faith-based leaders, people that I care so very much for, the pastors, imams, spiritualists, bishops, and whatever else there's out there. Please do not bail out on this message and say, because it is politics, therefore it's out of your jurisdiction. Please lead your followers and help them make the decisions that will alter their lives for the better. Tell them the truth, as I know you know about the NDC and the NPP, that they are a bunch of criminals. How else can you sugarcoat that? See, their leaders will claim their ignorance and their innocence and their illegal party operations, but that's just a ploy. The NDC and the NPP are criminal organizations who cleverly perpetrate their illegal activities subliminally with a grand scheme of deception. If your faith-based leader cannot tell you that these organizations are criminal organizations, then the spirit of discernment is not upon them, or they are just plain liars. You should change your place of worship, because you are following a loser. I promise you, plain and simple. The NDC and NPP are wicked liars who will do anything to get power. So, to the fathers and mothers who wallow in the disappointments of their votes because it didn't turn out to anything, to the police officers whose powers have been compromised, to the security agencies whose loyalty should be to the people and not to the political parties, as we have seen, to the corrupt media. Unfortunately, you profile these criminals and give them the undeserved platforms. To the artists and entertainers who from time to time soothe our pain through their talent, beautiful talent. To the taxi drivers and trotro drivers who have been laden with the MTU levies. To the underpaid teachers and nurses and doctors and civil servants. To the market women and traders. To the academia and professional workers and everybody else. Let us rise. Let's rise. Rise against the corrupt governments of NDC and NPP, and let's vote in an independent, skin-tight, functional administration to lead Ghana. See, we have voted for NPP and we have voted for NDC, and with all the abundance of oil, cocoa, starch, bauxite, timber, gold, manganese, salt, silver, diamond, rubber, limestone, we still borrow. Now, if that is not pathetic to you, then you need a checkup from your neck up. These pests are intellectually incapable and morally impotent, and a huge liability to the state. Just think about it for a second. Finally, to the youth to whom I dedicate the struggle. You see, I hope one day that you will wake up to the functioning government, functioning Ghana, where everything works as it rightfully should. that you will be able to be competitive like your counterparts in the West, live by design, on demand, and compete at everything and not feel deprived. This fight is for you. I see too many of you young men and women struggling too hard to make it, sometimes paying the ultimate sacrifice, death. When we have been blessed with an abundance, but because of some greedy politicians who've got their priorities mixed up and refuse to do what's right, we all suffer. Carry the torch and make sure you are discussing this in all of your forums. Please plan, strategize, send this to everybody you know and make them promise you that this 2020 NPP and NDC gotta go. Yeah, they have got to go, seriously. Did you ever wonder why the NDC and NPP haven't activated the Right to Information Bill and the Representation of the People's Amendment Act? Think about that for 1 second. It has nothing to do with affordability. We can find money for everything else. We found money for a cathedral, right? They don't want us to know the truth about their evil and corrupt ways. So this is our time. Log on to www.firendcmpp.com and register to join this movement to end the corrupt ways of NDC and NPP. Together, we will change Ghana. Word of warning as I close. Expect the NDC and NPP attack machinery to set out to obliterate this video. But that should only confirm their guilt because the truth hurts. Do yourself a big favor. Ignore them. Ignore them. They are pathological liars. If you haven't already figured out, they have zero credibility. Remember Agenda 2020. That should be the only focus. Fire NDC and NPP. Enough is enough. Vote independent. Thank you for being a great Ghanaian. Thank you for allowing me to share. My name, again, is Kofi Koranteng. By the way, this video is not doctored. Bless you all. And make sure you click on the link. Thank you for listening. In case you didn't get it, Agenda 2020, Fire NDC MPP. There we go. Thanks again for listening.